Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we'll continue our reading from Vaisnava Ke. What kind of devotee are you? Verse number 16 we will be reading from today. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tabam vande Shri Gurum Deen Tarinam Parmananda Madhvam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hariyam Tatsat. ये फल्गु वैरागी कहे निज त्यागी से न पारे कभू हाइते वैष्णव हरि पद छाड़ी निर्जंत बाड़ी लभिया की फल फल्गु से वैभव. Someone who falsely renounces objects which can actually be utilized in devotional service to Lord Krishna as material is known as a Falgu Vairagi. Due to false pride, he claims to be great renunciant. However, by his practice of renunciation, a Falgu Vairagi is never able to become a Vaishnav, a pure devotee of Lord Vishnu. Discarding the eternal shelter of pure devotional service to the lotus feet of Guru and Lord Krishna, the Falgu Vairagi may practice what may appear to be Krishna consciousness in his separate or solitary home away from the Krishna consciousness association of the society of devotees. But what transcendental result does he achieve for all his efforts? Whatever so-called Krishna conscious results he is achieving is simply a form of material illusion with no actual eternal Krishna conscious value. Purport. The Falgu Vairagi is one who has falsely renounced the material world. A Falgu Vairagi may either be an impersonalist who renounces the material world to achieve liberation, or a devotee who has separated himself from the association of the devotees in a show of renunciation and so-called solitary worship. The Falgu Vairagi's renunciation is superficial and is not pleasing to Guru and Krishna. The impersonalist Falgu Vairagi proudly boasts, I am most renounced, others are materially attached. I have given up so many material things, I am liberated. The impersonalist Falgu Vairagi's outlook is devoid of devotional service and his reference point is solely material. What to speak of being a Vaishnav? He is not even complete in his renunciation. In fact, apparently, great sannyasis are considered Falgu Vairagis if their renunciation is not in devotional service to Krishna. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, since Prakashananda Saraswati was not engaged in the Lord's devotional service, his sannyas is to be considered Falgu Vairagya. This means that since he did not know how to use things for the Lord's service, his renunciation of the world was artificial. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 17, verse 116, purport. Sometimes someone practicing devotional service may also be a Falgu Vairagi if the devotional service is performed in neglect of the orders of the spiritual master, or if bewildered by a false ego, he considers himself to be one of the eternal associates of the Lord. Such a Falgu Vairagi may also leave the association of devotees thinking to himself, I am a great devotee, I am most pure in my devotional service. Others are impure and unworthy of my association. Therefore, I can no longer associate with them. I am renounced and advanced in my realizations while others are neophytes. Therefore, it is better for me to practice Krishna consciousness independently. The Falgu Vairagi's artificially inflated and false pride causes him to deviate from the orders of his spiritual master. He is actually devoid of real pure devotional service, although due to false ego he considers himself the purest of devotees. The varieties of Falgu Vairagis and their excuses for avoiding surrender to authorized programs of devotional service are virtually unlimited, but the basic characteristics of mental speculation and dry renunciation are the most common. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that proper renunciation in devotional service should be practiced. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Sanatana Goswami about proper renunciation according to a particular situation, and the Lord forbade dry renunciation and speculative knowledge in all respects. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 23, verse 105. The imagined peace of mind a Falgu Vairagi feels is far removed from the bliss of Krishna consciousness and in actuality in complete opposition to the devotional service of serving and satisfying Krishna. Lord Krishna taught that he is far more pleased when his devotees cooperate together in devotional service. Furthermore, it was Lord Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's special request that everyone cooperate together to spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. I am the only gardener. How many places can I go? How many fruits can I pick and distribute? Purport here Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu indicates that the distribution of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra should be performed by combined forces. Although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he laments, how can I act alone? How can I alone pick the fruits and distribute it all over the world? This indicates that all classes of devotees should combine to distribute the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without consideration of time, place, or situation. Real renunciation means to do which is pleasing to the Lord. The Lord teaches that the priority for the present day and age is to cooperate together to propagate the message of Lord Krishna to the conditioned souls. This process of Sankirtan Yajna or congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord is a cooperative effort to glorify the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devotees who come together to participate in this activity are most dear to Lord Krishna and thereby guaranteed success in their spiritual endeavors. For one who explains this supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me. There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. This is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 68 and 69. True renunciation does not mean to renounce the association of devotees or the order of the previous spiritual masters. After all, the mind left to its own devices can be so treacherous that it may become envious of sincere devotees and simply become absorbed in pointing out the myriad and often imagined defects of other. This offensive attitude may enable the mind to sufficiently bewilder the intelligence so that one considers it auspicious to renounce devotional service and end up in the abyss of the spiritual annihilation. Activities of this sort may outwardly appear to be renunciation, but in reality they are simply steps of regression from the spiritual platform back to material conditioned life. The real standard of renunciation has been described by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Chaitanya Charitamrita when quoting Bhagavad Gita. One who is not envious but is kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. He from whom no one is put into difficulty and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety is very dear to me. A devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure expert without cares, free from all pains and not striving for some result is very dear to me. One who neither rejoices nor grieves, one who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. This is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verses 13 to verse number 20. The process of Yukta Vairagya is a science. Those who are interested in advancing in Krishna consciousness should carefully study the difference between Yukta Vairagya and Falgu Vairagya. Surrendering to Lord Krishna and engaging in his service is very easy to perform, but it is not a whimsical matter. one must act strictly according to the guidance of the spiritual master and the Vedic literatures. The system of surrender is described as follows: Anukulasya sankalpah pratikulasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso goptritve varanam tatha atma nikshep karpanya shad vidha sharanagati. The six divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of the unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full surrender, full self surrender, and humility. Purport: one who is fully surrendered is qualified with the six following qualities. The devotee has to accept everything that is favorable for the rendering of this transcendental, loving service to the Lord. Second, he must reject everything unfavorable to the service of the Lord. This is also called renunciation. Third, a devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give him protection. No one else can actually give one protection, and being firmly convinced of this is called faith. This kind of faith is different from the faith of an impersonalist who wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence in order to benefit by cessation of repeated birth and death. A devotee wants to remain always in the Lord's service. In this way, Krishna is merciful to his devotee and gives him all protection from the dangers found on the path of devotional service. Fourth, the devotee should always accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Krishna, considering him the only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within the three worlds he has no protector or maintainer other than Krishna. Number 5. Self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Krishna and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. 6th, the devotee is meek and humble. This is from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 22, verse number 100. A devotee becomes expert in purifying the mind from desiring anything separate from Krishna's desire. The devotee knows that no matter how sweet such a desire may be, ultimately it only brings the bitter fruit of material reactions. The devotee purifies his mind of all aspects of gross sense gratification and Falgu Vairagya, as he knows both can keep him in material illusion. An expert devotee never takes any reasoning of the mind at face value, but instead always evaluates the mind's proposals according to the advice of the previous acharyas, the sadhus, and the Vedic literatures. By regular practice of unmotivated devotional service and systematic eradication of all undesirable elements from the mind, a devotee is left with a pure and ecstatic consciousness. The importance and process of purifying the mind is explained in detail in the purport of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Gundicha Marjan pastimes of cleansing Lord Jagannath's temple. In commenting on the cleansing of the Gundicha temple, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within one's cleansed and pacified heart. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Sikshashtaka Cheto Darpan Marjanam. If the devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord Shri Krishna Shrnuvatam Swakatha Krishnaha. This is simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within heart and the Lord wants to give directions, but one has to keep the heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Gundicha temple. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Gundicha temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sands, weeds or dust, in other words, Anyabhilasha Purna, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anabhilashita Shunyam Gyan karmadi anavritam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, understanding the supreme by speculative knowledge, fruitive activity, severe austerity, and penance, and so on. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our hearts unless our hearts are cleansed. So we'll continue the further reading from verse 16 in next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki Jai.